Hey y'all, Trader Bros Golf Show back at it again. I am Rod.
And I'm Marcus.
Welcome on in. I don't know if you were watching crazy finish to the Indiana Pacers and Cleveland Cavs game a few seconds ago.
Literally just hopped out of bed from watching it, bro. It was fire. Jesus,
So
Cleveland. Just I don't know what Cleveland got going on.
yeah, it looks like this is going to be an unfortunate end for their end of season. That's
Yeah.
sad for them. I mean, Pacers are relentless. I've never been a Pacers fan. I hated them back in the Mark Jackson and Reggie Miller days. I don't like them now, but look, they play hard and they're scrappy. So
Shout out Rick
shout out to the
Carlisle.
Pacers.
Shout out Rick Carlisle randomly being good again.
I don't like Rick Carlisle either. Evil, evil Jim Carrey.
Yeah, man. He had some trying times in Dallas when he was here. And to me, he's kind of like Dirk, because like Dirk, when he did all that flopping and stuff and didn't really carry the team until 2011, I wasn't really rocking with bro. And now I'm like one of the biggest Dirk fans there is. Not the Rick Carlisle fan, but like he has proven himself to at least be a career winner. He takes,
Yeah,
yeah,
he's a solid coach. However, I sent that video, and you've probably seen it about the modern coaching, and I feel like Rick Carlisle is right on the edge of being kind of the rah rah play harder guy versus the new brand of X's and O's and making adjustments. I think he's like squarely on the line of both of those categories of NBA coach at this point.
yeah. He doesn't make adjustments during the game, but he does coach a modern style though. Like this up and down, a lot of offense, not minimal defense, but he's always been a timely stop guy. He hasn't really
Yeah,
ever coached defense, but way more up pace. He'll play in the 140s if you let him. It's crazy, bro.
yeah. Let's get into the golf. We're gonna keep it high and tight today. This is not a lot of subjects. I mean, it's pretty straightforward this week. Not a lot of nuance. So let's do it.
Woo.
I mean, last year we spent really the bulk of last year gushing over his accomplishment. Lots of wins. This was like a unique week at the CJ Cup Byron Nelson, with pretty much the tournament was over on Friday. I
Yeah,
mean, he was pretty much coasting at that point. For him to go back to back rounds, Thursday and Friday, 10 under to 8 under, um, I mean, it looked like the Corn Ferry tour out there, the way
yeah,
he was going low. Um, I got a chance to go out there on Sunday myself. At that point, it was pretty much like a done deal. And, we went early, wanted to, when it was quiet.
yeah.
Dallas is a late arriving golf city. He didn't tee off until 12:55. So really, we had the course almost to ourselves for the most part. Got to watch a couple of groups, rotated back and forth between about five different groups. So it was fun. But yeah, after Saturday evening and he's up by 8, I was like, no way. This is anybody can challenge this. It's not even going to be interesting. So, what'd you
Right.
think of Scotty's performance this week?
Yeah, it was great. I mean, when you come through at the crib and you shoot, your worst round is a 66. I mean, it says a lot about what you got going on for the week, let alone, the momentum that you're carrying into an elevated event, then right back to back with the PGA, then the week after that. So, yeah, I think once again, Scotty is trending in the right way when he needs to the most. It should be a fun week again. But yeah, I mean, I, what can you say about Scotty besides almost damn near perfection? He had one bogey. He had at one point got it to 32 on Sunday.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, just scary hours for the boys if you're really looking around at the top dogs. So yeah, I think
Yeah.
it's not like the guys tucked their tails between their legs and shuttled off. I mean, they kept trying to fight, but it's just what is there to do when a guy is shooting this well, making
Yeah.
putts? I mean, made a freaking 25 footer on 9 up the hill on that par 5 to in the front 9 on Sunday. Just stuffed it in front of Eric Van Rooyen. I mean, like it
It was. I mean, every time Van Rooyen thought he had a an opening, Scotty was right there next to him. The hole
right.
that we watched him coming down the stretch on Sunday, or as we were walking backwards through the course, we caught him on 6. We got there a few groups early, just to be able to catch him coming through and get there before the crowd and have a nice spot to get some video or whatnot. But it's a shortish par 4. You shoot over a creek. Most players are within 70 yards of the green. So Van Ruin hits a really nice wedge kind of on top of the hole, spins it back, and kind of has an uphill, left to right putt. It's pretty much a kick in. Sure enough, Scotty, he's a little bit closer off the tee box, does the same thing, drops it midway up the green, pulls the string on it, and then has a really, makeable putt, which he does complete. And like I said, there were really no openings where Scotty looked to falter at all, right?
Yeah.
Maybe you say there's a mental slip on 16, where he ends up with the no 17, that par 3, where he ends up with the bogey.
Yeah.
We watched, that I was back home at that point by the time he got to 17. Just a short sighted miss. He should have definitely gone middle of the green, but it's like a pitch and wedge 9 iron hole, just depending on the way the wind shifts there. But really, that's the only blemish that you could really call out. But at that point, it was well in hand. Maybe just a little bit of deep breath. I got this thing because number 18 is a
Gettable par
it's
5.
hard. It's damn near easy. We always
Yeah.
talk. People are gonna get sick of us, but when we played the course a couple of years ago, I think all 4 of the guys in our group ended up parring 18, and we all had.
Yeah.
I think 3 of the 4 had birdie putts at it.
We had birdie putts.
So
I
yeah, so
went in
it's
the bunker and still had a birdie putt.
right. So very gettable par 5, and he on the 18th tee put it dead smack in the middle of the fairway. Wasn't gonna not go for it. So
Yeah.
like I said, this was pretty much a foregone conclusion. Leaving the course on Friday night. The thing that I wanted to see is him, of course, set the record single weekend. Had he got to that 32 under, that would have been spectacular. I was also rooting for the double digit, victory total over Van Ruin, just because I want to see some domination, some Tiger like domination. So today I just kind of casually looked up kind of biggest tour victories, and Tiger was the kind of bottom of the list, where the notables was a 12 stroke lead on the nearest competitor, and I think one of those was even the Masters. So he did that a couple of times,
Yeah.
which, like I said, I would love to see somebody else dominate the tour and other players in the same fashion. I don't know if we'll ever see that again, but I think this is for us, the closest recollection and the widest margin of victory that I can remember in recent history. I don't know if you can pick out any others that were this convincing.
Yeah, no, I mean, I haven't. And I think the most important part is that he kept the foot on the gas. Most people, when they get up this big, you see them, they come back to the field, they're not mentally in it, they're not focused and stuff like that. So they don't go after it and shoot and continue to shoot low rounds. So it was good to see him continue to birdie holes and, mix in an eagle and even, so only one bogey on the day on Sunday. So yeah, I think Scotty being at the crib really kind of was like, hey, I want to make a statement. And he did. So, yeah, I don't know if he'll be, I don't think anybody will ever be Tiger type levels. But I think this is about as dominant as you can get for the season. I don't know if
Yeah,
anybody
and
does
I
this.
mean, and I get it. Like equipment, physically, everybody's got access to the latest and greatest in training, dietitians, all the technology, all the numbers. So I think it tightens up the gap. And physically, Tiger, I think, was at that time ahead of the field in terms
Yeah,
of the weightlifting and just the physical gifts that he brought to the table. I mean, you see all these repost channels and on Instagram that show all these old classic Tiger clips, and he was hitting three woods with a metal shaft 300 yards at that time, which was
yeah.
unheard of. That doesn't even account for his length off the tee with the driver. Excuse me. So yeah, I mean, it's hard to see someone physically dominating people in the same way that Tiger did at that time when, you just weren't looking at guys in the prime shape of their life, but everybody now has kind of got the barrel chest. They have a workout routine. They're getting, pre-round workouts in. That's just the norm at this point if you want to compete on this level. This does set us up for the Truist coming up this week, like you mentioned, the elevated event, which leads into the PGA Championship, with Rory playing, well, coming off the Masters. He's had a few weeks to kind of let that marinate, make the circuit, make the rounds. What are you excited about this weekend, or do you kind of just like, oh, it's a cool little warm up, but no cut elevated event? What are your thoughts going into this weekend?
I mean, I'm excited. I'm new venue, elevated event. A lot of players playing well right now. We get to see some people we haven't seen. Like we didn't see Albert. We haven't seen Albert in a while. We get to see him. I was thinking it at first sarcastically, but Spieth is playing well. He got a T4 or something like that at the crib as well. So, a lot of players are playing well. So I think it's going to be a
Yeah.
good lead up. And then I think I don't care what people say. There's no empty weeks out here. So this is just going to be a good barometer going into the PGA, and we're going to see. Because, we all, everybody that's a golfer is going to get the same round on social media and stuff like that. Jordan Spieth congratulated Rory, in the practice rounds or whatever at the Truist. And of course, Rory's like, nah, man, you're going to do it this time at the PGA. Just kind of being cordial, being nice. And
Yeah.
Spieth shot back immediately and was like, at Rory McIlroy Golf Club, like, bro, this is where you play the best at, bro. Like
Right.
this is where you pull off Tiger. Like you're a 4-time winner out here going on, trying to get your fifth. So let's not play that game. We all know you're
Yeah.
the favorite. We all know you dominate when it comes to, longish courses. So let's be for real. Let's not beat around the bush.
Yeah. A lot of discussion about Jordan Spieth's career Grand Slam. Honestly, the way not like I said, he's been trending in the right direction. Did have a 62 to finish the Byron Nelson this
Yeah,
week, but I don't know, man. That course is gettable.
it's
So I don't
gettable.
know if that's the equivalent of saying, okay, he's ready to compete for the career Grand Slam, or his game is trending in that direction. He did
Yeah,
mention earlier in the season that Augusta National is a course that you don't necessarily have to be playing your best to go win. You just kind of have to hit miss in the right places. You kind of have a method that you can put together to get around Augusta National. Yeah, the
yeah,
PGA Championship is the Quail Hollow, which we've seen before. Cool, but like you said, there are people that is a long course. Quail Hollow is a very long course. We know the fairways are going to be thin. The rough is going to be grown up incredibly. We've seen that in regular season events. I can tell you, hell, even for the Byron Nelson this past weekend, walking the course, they had the rough overgrown
yeah. The
dramatically,
rough
and
was
for
the
tech,
rough was roughing.
it was so rough. Got to put my feet in it and see real world what it looks like, and depending on what type of lie you ended up getting and the way that grass was laying. So if they're doing that at a Texas event, which usually Texas events are known for having like no rough at all.
Yeah,
But they had some overgrown kind of overseeded rye versus like a Bermuda type of grass. So at the Quail Hollow at the PGA Championship, it's going to be thick, and they're going to have to fight. So I don't know. I don't know if it sets up for Jordan Spieth and his game where he's currently trending. Not necessarily known to be the most accurate driver. He's
Exactly.
not
He's got to
lacking
put the
for
ball in the
distance.
fairway.
Yeah, that's the big one, right? And that is where Rory's game does stand out. He is long and he can get
Yeah.
the driver. And hell, to be honest, I mean, even Scotty though, he's that reliable 310, that little baby fade. He can hit that on command. He can throttle it
Right.
back and still get you a 290, 300 off the tee and still be in the fairway. And we know he's really good with the irons. So
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm excited about these next 2 weeks. Like you said, there is no let up. I feel like the PGA Tour did themselves a huge favor with the scheduling and kind of one, like you said, bringing us a really intriguing course. I love the way the course looks, um, and getting like really essentially 3 weeks of really good names out there. Again, we saw the Texas names this week. We'll see the elevated, roster this coming week, and then we bring it all together for a major. We're gonna, talk about Bryson a little bit later, and his victory. But yeah, I mean, golf is getting back there. I don't know. It's kind of like the sour feelings I know I had last year, where I was not done with it, but I was frustrated with where we were, the discussions, the up and down. At this point, if there's a merger, cool. If there's not a merger, cool as well. I don't care either way at this point. I feel like, the guys that play on live, we see them when we see them. I did give the Korean swing of their tour a little bit of a look this past weekend because it was on at a respectable time and it was accessible on FS1. So, anyway. PGA, anything else before we hop on over to live?
Also, me and Rod just talked about this off camera, but shout out to these opposite field events. Myrtle Beach Classic coming at you Thursday through Sunday as well. So we'll catch them in the early hours before the elevated event goes on. So don't want to diminish
This
them
is true.
because, as Eric Van Rooyen says, they are still scoring out there as well, which they are, which is cool. Looking forward to seeing what course they put it on out at Myrtle Beach. There's a lot of premium stuff out there at Myrtle Beach. Me and Rod have made the trip multiple times, and I will say it does not. It never gets dull in Myrtle Beach. There is so
No.
many golf courses out there. You can make the trip 5 years in a row and play 15 to 20 different golf courses and never see the same type setup, conditions, price points, location, all of it. It's all this. It's all such a variation. And then if you really wanted to do your big one, you can make the little trek, go to Harbor Town, or Charleston, and make the
The
trek.
big trek. Big
It's
trek.
it's 3 hours in Texas. That's from Dallas to Houston, but
It's
you
true.
know,
Yeah.
but yeah. So there's so much to do. So
And
I'm looking forward to that as well.
right, and a bunch of signature courses from designers that there's
Yeah, big
Jack
names.
Nicklaus. There's probably
Arnold
I think there's a
Palmer.
Greg Norman, Arnold Palmer. The one that I love but get rained out every time I try to play it, Arrowhead.
I have like
Um,
4 ball markers from that course. Arrowhead Golf Club will get my money every time we are in Myrtle Beach. Shout out to Arrowhead Golf Course. You make sure you look it up because there's like
I
15 in the
seriously,
nation. There's so many, but the one in Myrtle Beach in particular, the 3 nines they have there, they got one that's called the Waterway. They got one that's through the trees. I mean, you catch every different, vantage point on their 3 nines, and it's great every time. Again, every
it is
time
great
down,
every
it
time.
is great.
It is again, even though I get rained out, and that's a Ray Floyd design. Um, it's such a fun course and really hospitable. You pull up to it, there's not much from the clubhouse, but when you get out on the course, it is legit. And
Right.
we are not sponsored by Myrtle Beach Golf, but If y'all run across this video, sponsor us. We'll be happy
Right. We'll
to
be happy.
promote Myrtle Beach golf.
Absolutely.
So they're playing this at Dunes Golf and Beach Club. Did we play that one the
We
first time
played
we went out
that.
there?
I
We
swear to God, we
did.
played that. We got
We were so trash. We were so
quick
trash back
story.
then.
Quick story. We got paired up with the most random guy that tried to talk us down about how much money he had, where he had played, and the clubs that he has at home compared to the rental set that he had. Mind you, these were Rocket Ball Stage 2 when they had just came out. He was like, "Oh, these are rental clubs. These are nothing like what I play at home. I would never play with these." And it was hilarious. I mean, we shot probably in the low 100s, in the mid 90s, something like that. It wasn't very good, fellas. But
We had not even really been playing a full year at that point. That was maybe right over, maybe just
possibly
over a year.
possibly a year and a couple of months. So we
Yeah,
were feeling ourselves a little bit, but not too much to where we couldn't get humbled. And we got humbled. We
yeah.
played like the middle tees. We didn't even play like the one. Usually now, me and Rod play like either the tips, depending upon, or the one in front of the tips. We were closer to like definitely the middle age, the old
Middle
tees
front.
for sure.
Yeah, and that's back when I don't know. Like I thought the game was so simple. Like I couldn't hit an iron to save my life, but I could hit driver
We were getting off
reliably.
the tee.
I was I was getting off the tee every time, and that's what made. I think that's how I ended up getting addicted because I was like, okay, I can get out on in the fairway,
Yeah,
but
you were
if I
absolutely
could
getting off the tee.
if I could ever get my iron game straight, I was like, that's what addict. We pretty much caught the golf bug like immediately. All it took was like
Instantly.
one good trip to Top Golf for me, and I was done. And then we kind of simultaneously started playing. So anyway,
Yep.
Myrtle Beach, good times, freaking good times. So yeah, check out Myrtle Beach Dunes Club. What memories? Let's swing on over to the Live guys, just because I feel like bashing them. So they actually have been playing pretty frequently. They went back to back. We talked about their crazy travel from Mexico City the previous week to Korea.
Ooh,
Their first
international
time in Korea.
game.
Yes, international. Um, I think big criticism for me is
Chill
the
out,
the.
Andy. Chill
I
out,
can't believe this.
Andy.
This is so true. Yeah, DJ is gonna show. I told you, look like DJ's been gaining a little bit of weight.
He said, "Man,
Um,
I guess, bro. If you telling me to pull up, I'll pull up, but don't be
right.
expecting much."
Um, so the courses that they're playing are not courses that we know, and they're not doing a lot of repeats from season to season. And I think
Yeah.
that's the one of the biggest disadvantages that they put themselves at is that
No, facts.
there's nothing there. There's no memory that's we can build up about live courses. Again, they're somewhere different all the time, and it's cool. Like you're gracing the globe, but having stops where people can year to year rely on you to show up, I think makes that's what makes connections for people to be able to sustain the league going forward. I don't even know if I included it. I did not. Um, I
You're right
also
though.
learned.
I
Go
mean, you
ahead.
got to think about like the different placards we see on some courses. Memorable shots. You don't get these memorable shots at courses that you play once a year and then you don't see them again. Like the K Club shot or whatever, like the DP
Yeah.
World Tour. They have the shot that Greg Norman hit or whatever
The
that Kyle
the
Montgomery.
P the their what is it that they play, that PGA Championship that um
Right.
not that Billy Horschel won a couple of years ago
Mm-hmm.
at Wentworth. Is it Wentworth where they play
Yeah,
that one every
Wentworth.
year?
Hmm. Yeah.
Memorable. 18 is
Memorable.
memorable out there.
Back to back par fives, by the way.
Right.
So yeah, that
The
no, I'm just piggybacking.
Yeah, but so I found this article today. I ran across it. Um, I think maybe late yesterday, but it was about the investment that Saudi PIF is still making in Live. So at this
Yeah,
point, they are up to about 5 billion invested in Live. They threw in another 330 million in January, and just now, like on April 25th, 344 million. So this year they're already up to 674 million invested. I am trying to figure out from an investment standpoint where the money is going, because we talked about the marketing last week and how it has completely fallen off. Like we don't get the direct marketing that pushes and ads that we were being served as heavily
yeah,
before.
yeah,
We know the courses are not the top of the top courses. We know, to be real, the return on the investment is not coming back from viewership and people watching on TV and really the attendance. I mean, Korea was pretty decently attended. I didn't get much coverage from the Mexico event because it was running simultaneous to a PGA Tour event, same time zone.
yeah.
With the when they were in New Orleans. So again, I'm trying to figure out like, cool, you're spending all this money, and I know they're trying to get influence on the game as a whole, but how much do you spend until it's not really even I get it. Like these are just kind of amounts that the Saudi PIF can just write off, but it is an investment fund, which means that
Yeah,
you want to get a return at some point. And
right,
influence is hard to quantify, especially when we're talking about golf, how niche golf is. We love it. If you're watching this show, you love it. But we're weirdos. When you look at the world as a whole,
right.
they're I mean, they're doing the other sports. It's basketball, it's football, it's baseball, it's hockey. Yeah, I would say golf is probably. I mean, even though it is played, it is not watched as frequently as the other sports. So
Right.
I don't know what you think. What do you think about the this continued investment?
They're trying to force it. I mean, it's like, I mean, I guess I won't try to say, I won't say they're force feeding it, but I will say that they are really trying hard to make live a thing. And it's just, it's not landing on its feet like they would expect it to. I mean, again, in its maiden year, they expected more people to fall for the okey doke and want to just grab the bread. And people were not going. People were not for it. Like, again, golf is a niche thing, but it's an honorable game. It's a etiquette thing. It's a
Yeah,
gentleman's game. So legacy and honorable things matter to them in general. So that's why those people speak on that thing. They speak on that still to this day, compared to the PGA and the DP World Tour, compared to the Live. Like now, the whole blood money and all that, whatever, whatever. They don't really come for that neck
yeah.
anymore. Like, it's funny
Well,
money.
yeah. Everybody's favorite still goes after the murderous regime. Well, I mean, I get it. I mean, for those people that there's a connection to that, like I totally understand why that argument doesn't die. I mean, that's never
Right.
been part of why we thought it was a horrible product. That's just not the argument that I would like to make. I just see
Yeah.
it as something that
It's
is
just
just not
bad.
a it's not high quality golf, to be honest
Yeah.
with you.
It's not fun
I
to
mean,
watch.
at the end of the day, John Rahm can show up with his overweight self. Like, dude, just not keeping himself in good shape right now. That it's hard to just deny that he is not in the best shape of his life. DJ went over there, fell off. DeChambeau is playing well and is still invested in the game, and like for him, and I think his attention span, not playing every week and the grind of the PGA Tour probably makes sense for him. Kepka, who knows with Kepka, right? It could be the one week that he decides to mentally check in when he's coming over here to play a major, and he's locked in.
Isn't he
But week in
defending?
week, No, 2 years out from PGA Championship. That was
See,
Schauffele last year.
I was because Shoffley,
Yeah.
Shoffley won PGA, then won the Open. My apologies.
Yep. No, I mean, time flies. I mean, time legitimately flies.
Right.
Um, so again, I mean, it's just not a good league. I mean, and players' games go over there to die unless they are just like uber committed to putting in the work and playing beyond what the live season is. That's just
Yeah.
the truth of it, right? Cool. You can show up, and if you're one of these talented guys, I mean, let's think about somebody that we I haven't heard his name in a long time. Ian Poulter. That man has gone over there and disappeared. Um, Another guy that I liked, Lee Westwood. I like Lee Westwood. I think one of the best
Yeah.
iron players that this game has ever seen.
Yeah.
And we just unless he's piping up on X/Twitter, I mean, you don't hear about Lee anymore. And he's probably still had some good years left in him, but I guess he said, "Hey, game's winding down. I'm gonna go over here and get this check." And to
He
me, that's
ran
the
off into the
disappointing
sunset.
side.
Very much so.
Yeah. Let's shift. Go ahead.
The last time I saw Ian Poulter was last year when we sent that post about him and Liv, and I don't know if he was mad at the golfer, the course, his game, or the weather, but
Right.
he was telling everybody to F off and don't look at him like that, don't talk to him like that. As he got shuttled off to the next hole because they don't walk out there. Anyway,
Right. Yeah, that's right. I totally forgot about that.
Jon Rahm looked the best. Jon Rahm looked in shape for the Masters. Was his game in shape? No. But did he look in shape? Yes.
Yeah, but I've seen him after that, and he's lost the shape. That I mean, a couple good weeks. I know Jon Rahm enjoys a good meal. I take him as a very cultured man that likes to eat well when he's on the road. So
maybe a few too many tapas, but he gonna lock it in.
Bryson DeChambeau. I was talking to this video came out a couple weeks ago when they were in Mexico. We didn't get a chance to discuss it because there was just so much going on, and it just didn't fit into one of our weeks. But time to bring it up. Saw this video with Bryson DeChambeau pre-event testing out the bunkers. From my understanding, a bunker is a hazard. It is not necessarily supposed to be the easiest thing to get out of. And in this video, I'm going to show very much throwing a fit. Makes an argument about somebody could get injured, which doesn't really make sense. So I'm going to pull this up. We'll probably watch it a couple times through, just depending on the buffering, and we'll come back and comment on this.
Worst fucking bunkers ever. The worst.
What's that video?
No, look. You have the fucking felt below.
What the hell?
You could hurt somebody's wrist. You could break someone's wrist.
Uh-huh.
You can't even get it out.
No.
It's so bad. This is better, but it's so bad.
Played pretty smooth. I don't want to watch that again.
Listen, this redemption tour that DeChambeau was going on, not saying it ends here because he's had better moments, and he on the Masters, he was throwing the wrist and the backwards hand and stuff at some of the fans, whatever, trying to save his fingers or however it may be, but
whatever.
We saw
immediately after the Masters, though, the comments about Rory not speaking to him, and he looked like a real B immediately after the Masters. And I'll be honest, I'm pretty familiar with public relations and kind of how firms tend to spin a client, and the efforts that they put in to protect that image. And we saw that for 2 years. There were essentially no missteps from Bryson. We saw him leave the PGA Tour, rehab the image, I think when videos like this, because this looks like somebody that kind of had been experiencing Bryson and was like, I'm gonna get my camera rolling and catch this dude complaining. And when you start seeing stuff like this coming out, people are getting tired and they're frustrated by you. Liv is a pretty tight ship when it comes to image, and for somebody that's working the course, associated with the course that they're playing on, or somebody within Liv that got this footage out, there's definite some undertones to, hey, we're getting tired of your shit. Get it together. You know?
Well,
So
yeah, I mean, well, you could tell in that video in particular, the dude that was walking alongside him that, probably was like a spokesman for the course. He was, he just said, okay, what else? We're not going to bring out 3 groundskeeper and haul off new sand into here just because you want it. It's
if he
indeed
wouldn't,
a hazard. It's not supposed to be consistent. It's not supposed to be easy to get out of. That's the whole point. You avoid hazards, and then when you get in them, you have a particular skill to get out of it. But as I've told Rod many times before, I've never believed in the redemption tour. DeChambeau has always been DeChambeau, and you could tell it from the school he went to. There might be some good people from SMU, but I don't think of good things when I think of SMU. That's just straight up. Anyways, let's keep it pushing because DeChambeau really doesn't deserve that much time.
I know you. I get your blood pressure up.
We'll see him next week. Hopefully, he doesn't embarrass himself on Sunday again, as well as the other Livies that'll be there. Kepka, Rom, DJ got an invite. He got a special exemption. Tom McKibben, lame ass, got an exemption. And I think David Pooge got an exemption as well. I think I saw his no chin ass too. So yeah, we'll see them next week.
The fun thing is, like we started doing this probably the first season of LIV, is that we would come back and, because they were taking group photos at that point when they would show up to majors together. So we'd get a chance to put where they landed on the placement list at the end of the tournament, cut, tied for 37th, whatever. We're going to have to go back to that and start reviewing how these folks are doing in majors. Because honestly, I mean, when you look at it, the performances have not been great. It's just not. You may have one or two that sneaks up and has a decent week, top 10 maybe. But as a whole, as a group, nah. And I saw a quote from DeChambeau this week that said, no. LIV absolutely gets you ready for the majors. And what else would he say? But the proof is in the pudding. Results do not lie. You either are bringing the game or you're not. Which actually, I meant to ask you this earlier, especially when we were talking about the PGA and kind of, rising tides lift all boats. And so we're seeing Rory and Scottie playing very well. We're seeing other people make a resurgence. JT coming off of a win as well a few weeks ago. Do you think that competitive nature of the PGA Tour is kind of returning? I know to me, things have gotten a little too buddy-buddy. A lot of shared equipment sponsors, brand sponsors. Of course, they were in the gutter fighting against LIV, and so there's a lot of closeness that comes when you close ranks. And we saw Rory talking outwardly. Scottie's done his own talking about the LIV guys. He shuns. I mean, you see Scottie shunning pretty much the LIV guys as well. Do you think that we're returning to a day of like, hey, the competitiveness is back. I want to be the top dog. Do you see that?
Oh, I mean, I think it's been that way. I just think they're not being as polite about it. You know what I'm saying? I think they're definitely being more of a, hey, like, I'm gonna show you more than I'm gonna tell you. And so we've seen these golfers play their best golf here because more people are playing good golf. More of the cream is still rising to the top. I mean, again, when you got players like Xander Schauffele get up to number 2 in the official world golf rankings, somebody's going to have something to say, because Rory is a consistent top 3. And when he slid to 3, you don't think he wasn't mad about that on the low? Because Xander won and he didn't, or he didn't win the right events, and he got more points for winning the majors, and Rory just won. Those he won Quail Hollow last year, so he won an elevated event, and then he won like another event, and just had a bunch of good, like a bunch of good top 5s and stuff like that. He had a lot of money, he had a lot of good results, but he wasn't doing enough to be number 2 in the world compared to Scottie. And now, I don't think anybody's going to chop Scottie off the top block as far as number 1, but everybody's going to be fighting for that player of the year. And I think we're seeing that more apparent than ever. But in the meantime, I was just looking, and I'm like, not to re-emphasize on the LIV, but when you look at the schedule, again, just look at the courses they play. How are they getting set up for majors when the only major championship adjacent course they're playing is Orange Man National Doral? And that was in April, and the winning team shot 4 over. So were they really getting in major preparation? I don't think so.
No.
And that's the last I'll harp on that.
And that's, I think, we've seen the
strategy go down the schedule.
Yeah. No, it just doesn't. It doesn't. We've seen the PGA Tour, we've seen the LPGA tailor events leading into majors to get the players ready to go for those type of events. Harder courses, well-conditioned courses, because I think that matters. At the end of the day, are these better than your average municipal course or even some private courses? Yes, they are still quality courses, but I don't think they're, again, because of the timing. We know that year to year, when the PGA Tour schedules, these courses know well in advance of the tour landing there. There's a lot of conditioning and preparations that go into these courses
months in advance.
Exactly, years in advance. To be honest with you, preparations like let's a perfect example is guy that yes, but let's say even on a small local level, I don't listen to the broadcast, but TPC Craig Ranch, I don't know if they mentioned this week or not. My bad if they did. Again, I don't listen. They're tearing out the fairways. I think they're keeping the greens, but they're doing like a renovation that started the day after the tournament in preparation for next year. So these things are well in advance. And so if LIV is, we saw them do this several times last year where they added a course in during the season that wasn't on the schedule. They just had like LIV Chicago, no course announced, and went to a different venue than they were the year before. So these courses need to be prepared so you can have your players playing on the best conditioned courses and to get them prepared to play at these major level venues.
Right. Are they going to be able to fly out to these courses weeks in advance and prep on that course? No. They're going to, like, for instance, coming up, LIV Golf Dallas, end of June, the 27th through the 29th, they are returning to Maridoe and a lesser faction. It is not the championship or team championship, whatever. Or whatever. So kudos to them for, rehashing an event. There you go. They'll be they'll be at a course they've played before. And then the Chicago event, they're playing at Boilenbrook again. Or was that did they play there last year?
That was the one that they added during the season.
That we saw on Golf Now for like $60. You're right. My fault. Yes. I didn't mean to see any shade, but we literally looked it up, and you could play that course for like $70 with the tax included, prepaid.
Yeah.
The day
that they got that.
On Golf
Now.
So they're bringing it back. Hopefully they've had some time to, produce some better, conditions, have the guys come out there, because they'll play July 25th through the 27th. And they'll have 2 weeks in between that to fly from the UK, the JCB Golf Club, and then they'll be in Chicago for that, and then they'll be stateside for the last 3 events. So
Yeah.
they'll be Chicago, Indy, Michigan. Who knows if the other 2 courses are going to be good? The club at Chatham Hills, and then the Cardinal at St. John's. Who knows? We'll look them up. We'll let y'all know.
We have no
or you
idea.
can do your own Googles, but courses we've never heard of.
Even Merido, even Merido on the timing. June in Dallas, you starting to get questionable, bro.
End of June, it's the same thing as Houston.
Yeah.
The only thing
I'm going to tell you,
it's going to be dry. It's dry heat in Dallas. That's the only thing saving them. But it's going to be
literally, there's like 2 trees on that entire course. There is no cover. You're just out there exposed, and
hopefully they got some misters.
Apparently, I saw somebody complaining about the lack of water stations at that event last year, and that the water that was available was warm. Shout out to the PGA Tour. So at the Byron Nelson this weekend, they had these portable water stations. So yeah, you could buy some expensive bottled water, but if you had a container, you could refill your bottle at these. There were a handful of stations out there. That was a nice touch. Addition. I mean, it was 70 something degrees and mild this weekend, so it was a beautiful weekend to watch some golf. But again, some nice touches where the PGA Tour is starting to compete. I will say, when I compared cost, I ended up getting my tickets for free, but parking cost me like 20 something bucks, which that sucked compared to free parking with LIV. And also, again, I would have had to pay for a kid's ticket had I not gotten tickets for free. So I think PGA Tour, of course, is the better product ultimately. But there's some trade-offs. But
you pay what you get,
we'll see what it's true. This is very true. You are paying what you getting what you pay for when it comes to a PGA Tour level event. In LPGA, let's not forget about the ladies before we get too deep. They had an inaugural playing of the Black Desert Championship in Utah. This is now a shared course. The gentlemen will play this one later on in the season, which they played it for the first time last year. Very attractive course on TV. I would love to walk the grounds out there. Even my wife was looking at it like, I was like, I would love to play the course, of course, especially with the the lava rocks or whatever is out there, but it's in Utah, so I'm not a fan of Utah. I have no desire. Utah golf looks cool, but I mean Salt Lake City is not exactly your hotbed of fun. Apparently, it's hard to find any kind of level of alcohol, or restaurants close at like 8 or 9 o'clock every night. Probably not a fun golf trip city unless I don't know. Anyway,
you were there for the golf only ride.
That's it.
That
is it.
This is the city of sport ride. You were here for sport and stream and literally straight edge fun.
Right. And some hiking and golf.
Yeah. You better go into those national parks ride.
But looking at the leaderboard from the Black Desert Championship this week, it looked like kind of the redemption tour for the ladies.
I was about to say, same thing
who had struggled.
It was redeemed team. Henselite.
We saw Area Jutanagarn was up there. And then Haeran Ryu, who ended up winning the tournament. I don't know, man. That young lady, Ryu, looks like she could be super dominant in this game.
Yeah.
I don't know, man. She just looks incredibly powerful. She hit some 3-woods that were majestic. If she could find some consistency week in and week out, and I haven't really analyzed her game to see where the strong points are, but you put a driver and a wood in her hand, I mean, her swing is pretty damn solid. It does. And she's 5'9", looks taller than that, but lot of length, but I don't know. She's impressive, and she ended up winning, kind of going away at the end with a strong birdie late in that, or not a birdie, an eagle down the stretch to pretty much put it under wraps. But again, really impressive. Bounce back from the Chevron Championship, which we were down on the finish and kind of how it all ended. But again, like I said, crowded leaderboard. Those ladies were like, I'm gonna come back. I'm gonna show some heart. But it's cool. Like I said, it's cool for the ladies and the men to share a venue so we can see the differences between the gameplay and how they set up the courses for each play,
They were,
league or whatnot.
elevation included and stuff like that. It was funny to me. There was a few drivable holes out there that the ladies were for sure laying up on. It's like they weren't even trying. But that's the thing that always amazes me about the women's game. The women's game is so disciplined. They do not mess around with risk reward and stuff like that. If it's foolproof that I can make it to the green, I'll go for it. If it's any kind of doubt, I put a wedge in my hand. Put a wedge in my hand real quick. And it's like, okay, I get it. But the dudes, 330, I'm going. And so like it was like hole number, it was like middle of the nines. I think it was like 6 or 14 or something like that. It was like, playing like 305. But the ladies play with chase. The dudes play with more carry than anything. But the ladies, they get a lot of rollout. So you would think that the Charlie Holes of the world, a little recoil on that driver real quick. She's pretty dialed in right now. You would think she would look to be tracing one of those little hooks in, a little draw in. But I think as far as Haeran Ryu's game goes, I think that me, I'm always looking at putters. She's using.
I made fun of you this weekend and your putter situations, but go ahead. Sorry.
She's using a center shafted spider that just dropped, so it just came out. And I'm just saying, the center shafted, it's not really
that is the one change that I think I would make from a putter situation is one of these center shafted, zero torque. I think that may be. Even though I am happy with how I'm putting right now, I think that may be one change that I would make. Which, like you said, you sent me that post earlier today. It's deceiving, right? Because I think we know the bladed putter, which we've been talking about for the long time, is going away.
Yeah,
that's just,
it looks amazing. Still looks great.
Right,
just has no value anymore.
If you know that you can put a little bit of technology in your hand and get the ball rolling quicker with less bounce, more reliably on the line that you choose, why would you opt out of that, right?
Right.
To kind of I get it. There's a control aspect there in terms of you feel like with a blade, you control every aspect of the putt, but the human error, sucks. I mean, again, if you can eliminate the human error part of it and put it on the technology, and if you have to still have a solid stroke on the putt, but eliminate all the factors that you can that are negative.
Yeah, my thing is you got to be, again, as a golfer, you have to be realistic with yourself. I understand if you want to use a blade, if you play some private club where the greens are going to be consistent and they're going to be fast, and yes, you want to know the pace of the greens and stuff like that. But when your top 25 golfers in the world rankings all play mallets or wide blades or some form of that, no lap putters, by the way, in the top 25. No zero torques in the top 25. Just letting you know that there. You got to understand, if the pros are even going this route, then I think you need to be gravitating towards that as well. But when we're playing on these public courses where the greens aren't consistent speed-wise, where the grain isn't consistent, people do not pick up their feet, people do not repair their divot, their ball marks and stuff like that. You have got to use the best tool possible, which is a more forgiving putter. Like, be for real with yourself. Like, and that's all I'm saying.
Yeah.
And again, do your research. Getting fit for a putter is just as important as getting fit for your irons, your wedges, your driver, your woods. These guys,
Your ball.
your ball. These master fitters know what needs to be in your hand, what performs the best, what comes off the face the best, and things of that nature. And there are plenty of blade adjacent mallets that you can use. In the closet, the Del Mar that I use, very blade like, toe hang and all, but with the forgiveness and the weight of a mallet. Again, there are ways to circumvent you wanting a blade and wanting to play a blade style and stuff like that. Get you a slant neck, something like that. You'll still have those similar feels. It's okay, fellas and ladies. It is A-okay.
And not to miss it, but this week the ladies playing in the Mizuho America's Open in New Jersey. Shout out to channel member Crystal Cochran. Hope you're doing well out there, and that's her home area.
Hopefully she's gonna make the trip again.
Shows up. Yeah, she had a good time last year in the event. I haven't seen the commit. They don't do that as well.
Nelly's back. Yeah. No, it's up. If you look at you can check the leaderboard and it'll pop up.
Yep. Nelly, young players, AJGGA champions, Gianna Clemente, Yana Wilson, 2025 LPGA winners, Alim Kim, Lydia Ko. We haven't seen Lydia Ko in a little bit.
Yeah. Alexa Pano, Saganda making the track. Yeah, Allison Corpu, Maya Stark, Bailey Tardy. You know, Bailey Tardy, she's making a run. She hasn't been winning, but she is using that win she had on the Asian swing last year, and she is riding all that momentum, taking advantage of all the exemption and playing as much golf as she can. Patty T, Laura Coughlin, one of our young faves.
You know who plays every week will be out there.
Saganda. Goddamn.
And you know what?
Gina Tizical.
Gino. Yeah. Saganda hadn't been I was fully expecting her to catch some strays on after they implemented their slow play rules, but I think she's been picking it up. I saw a couple of clips of her in the Chevron. Little bit more pace on that step when she's on the greens, not as deliberate as she's been in the past. So the rule works. The rule works if you actually enforce it. PGA. What do you think so far? So remind me to come back to PGA. Just remind me. Go ahead.
Oh, I kept going down the list. I was just getting ready to say our sis needs to go ahead and finish up this semester. Rose Zhang, she needs to get back out on that tour.
Is she still in school? Really?
Yeah, she's finished.
You're right. You're right. She hadn't been playing very much, or at least hadn't been.
But she said
competing.
It though. She's very, and that's the thing that's cool about her being on social media. She was very transparent about it. I think she was like going to Stanford, so she knows she's a brainiac. I think she was doing like one of those mixed degrees where it's like a bachelor's and a master's. So she's kind of, really locked in. And she said that's why she didn't make the Asian swing in the beginning part of the season, so she could focus on school and stuff like that. So yeah, kudos to her for continuing her education. Probably shout out to her big sis, Michelle Wee, because Michelle Wee did the same thing. She turned pro early, but was like, I'm not going to give up on school and this degree and, all the fashion and, graphic design and stuff that Michelle Wee kind of laid into as her degree. So, yeah, good on her for that. I think that's very commendable to be juggling both of those things, being a pro athlete and still doing school. Because there's no breaks, and she's at Stanford, so it's really no breaks. It's not like she's getting it handed to her. Yana Wilson, young and upcomer, she won on the Epson Tour last week. She was a long time top amateur golfer. I mean, before they really started doing like the ANA or the ANWA at the Augusta, that event and stuff like that, she probably got like one one good year, 2 good years before she turned pro and, did that route. So, yeah, a lot of good names on that coming up. So I'm excited to see that. Hopefully we get more coverage than expected. I will search it out.
Yeah. Yeah, I
But
mean it'll be tough. It'll be
it's on
tough with two PGA events going on, and yeah, it's going to be tough for them to get some run.
They'll probably do the same thing that they did. They'll probably do PGA Myrtle Beach live early as like that Corn Ferry Tour window. Then they'll do PGA live, and then we'll catch the replay and get like a nice little 3-hour block. And then on the weekends, we'll get it live probably. So Thursday, Friday, we'll probably catch it 5 to 8, 6 to 8 type deal, and just catch the replay and some highlights. And then Saturday, Sunday, when the big boys go over to, big TV and stuff like that, we'll catch them. So hopefully we get some golf too.
Yeah. And DP World Tour back in action after a couple of weeks off as well. So
yeah, Turkish Airlines. Yeah, we'll see them.
But on the PGA Tour, I hadn't really noticed much change or difference other than one mention that I saw. It looks like Davis Riley was penalized for using slope this past weekend. I don't know if it was – I didn't see the full story. But you said he called it on himself?
Yeah, self-inflicted. He had the slope function on. And again, bro, this is the thing that trips me out. You don't need to be sponsored by Bushnell, but y'all are millionaires out on the tour, bro. Get you the top of the line V6 non-slope edition and don't even play with it, bro. When you at the house and when you at your home course, yes, pull out the big Pro X3 with the wind conditions, the humidity level, and the wind and everything on the screen and the slope as well. But when you on the PGA Tour, don't even give yourself the option, bro.
Right.
What are we talking about?
Don't even chance that.
What, you have way too much money, bro. Have two range finders. It's okay.
I mean, there's so much money in golf, and that's why I trip out when players are like, "Oh, we need more." Bro, at this point, players that I don't even know, like that's to me that's fun about going to a PGA Tour event is the range. You'll see guys that you have no idea who they are,
striping it,
and striping it, but out there with a TrackMan on the range. So when we were leaving, there's a guy. His bag was turned away from us, but I couldn't recognize who he was. But he was, he was the only guy on the range out there with the big ass TrackMan by himself. I guess he didn't have the weekend that he wanted, but he was still grinding at 2:00 in the afternoon by himself. TrackMan just throwing the numbers off or whatever. But that's standard across the board. Everyone has a GC quad or a TrackMan on the range. So in
a briefcase.
Yeah, you can't tell me that these guys don't make money, and you're starting to see that down, to the lower levels of the Corn Ferry Tour. So there's money to be made on these professional golf tours. Don't let these crying pros tell you different.
Yeah, I think it's one last thing about that. I think it's also pretty cool because just remembering one of my first PGA events that I went to. Shout out to Uncle Al for allowing me to come out with him to the Shell Houston Open when it was back out at Golf Club of Houston. So he took me out there, and one day we got out there and we're watching the range. I mean, this was young Tony Finau, and I think prime Nick Watney. You're on the fence, and Nick Watney, who hasn't, still, gets some sponsor exemptions.
Shout out to Nick Watney, late entry to this week's tourney after a couple of pullouts. So
Nike alum, by the way, Nike golf alum, by the way, dude. I mean, flush show, right to left, left to right. I mean, go back, grab another ball. I mean, him and that Covert Tour were, just we've all heard it. Golfers are like, you've all heard the sound. I mean, that whoosh, it's every
it's
ball.
so different.
It's
and the
so
ball flight,
different.
the ball flight is what to me is also super impressive. Like
They
the
don't swing
windows,
hard.
no. Um, it's very interesting as well. So like one of the guys that groups that we ended up following this week was AJ Bramlett. And
Ain't he like 6'5"? That dude is
he's
huge.
he's a tall man. He's a very tall man. But
Bro is huge.
one misnomer that I this is an interesting connection. You know, I talked about this with you offline, is the shoulder plane, right? And you know, a lot of teachings that we see today, especially with driver, I'll say particularly with driver, they tell everybody, you know, put a little bit of slant in your shoulders. Your right side should be lower, just so
Yeah.
you can hit up on the ball. That does not necessarily work for me, at least. I'll say for my game. Flat shoulder plane. So that was one of the things that was very noticeable in watching him set up every damn club. It didn't matter if it was a wood, driver, irons, flat, even shoulder plane, which is something that I went to about 3 weeks ago. I was like very deliberate about in my setup, standing up straight, getting my shoulders as level as possible before making the swing. Very noticeable with him too, that you know it's just natural at this point. But none of that tilt and stack and all that stuff. It's interesting watching the pros do what they do, things that we are taught, or at least that's become very popular in instruction on the amateur level.
Yeah.
I don't know. I feel like it can be misguiding us sometimes. I don't know. Like I said, if you ever have a PGA Tour event in your area, I'd say within an hour and you can get to it, it's good to just see the differences and pick up some things and tips that you can implement in your own game. Go watch the range for like 30 minutes. I mean, and
Please go
find
to the
some
range.
rando. Find a rando that you've never
Seek out
seen play
JR
before, and they're
and watch.
still fucking the best. They'll whoop your ass on a bad day.
I mean,
The worst of them.
they're mad at 70 and 69 just the same as Scotty and them are. So don't ever get it
Right.
twisted, bro. It's the same argument that these people say about basketball players. The 15th guy on the NBA bench is giving you 40 on your head in a rec league game. Don't even without even breaking a sweat, bro.
I saw the quote again this week, and it's a good reminder every time. Like Brian Scalabrine said, "I'm closer to LeBron than you are to me." Talking to a
Facts.
rec league guy.
Facts.
So,
And it's true
yeah,
statement every time.
yes,
I guess a good note to end it on is just take a difference and look at what's the PGA is doing compared to the LPGA. The LPGA is very technical, very disciplined. You don't see a lot of you see some homemade swings, you see the Esther Henselites, you see the funny recoils and stuff like that. You see the compression and you know the pull of Charlie Hull, but then you go over to the PGA Tour and there are 45,000 different swings and they're all pros. Just peep the difference between athleticism and being able to make center contact however it may be. I mean, number one golfer in the world ain't nobody swinging like Scottie Scheffler.
no,
And then you go to a Rory McIlroy, and again, one of the most picture perfect swings you'll ever do. We're physically not able to swing like that. We're physically not able to do that. I don't care who you
right.
think you are, you're not able, buddy. Yeah.
No, there's no. Yeah, the talent in that 5'10" frame for the speed that Rory generates, it's kind of hard to even quantify how he gets that much speed
Right. Like I
in that
said,
frame.
the best golfer, the best driver of the golf ball to ever do it.
Yep. I'll wrap it up with this. This weekend, I and the fam will be making the trek down to Houston. I am hoping every day that Marcus shows up on time for the tee time that he scheduled. I feel good about where my game is right
He's
now.
gonna get burned
I
again.
I am trying to get to business with Marcus. Hopefully, we'll try to record some swings and get those posted up. But yeah, I'm feeling good, bro.
But I ain't gonna say no scores, but he finna get burned again.
I'm okay. We'll see. I know. Usually, I just talk crap, but this is the best that I'm feeling. I'm trending in the right direction. So
I'm playing Thursday, my first week in like 3 weeks. I'm telling you now.
All right, y'all. Bitter Rose Golf Show. We'll be back. We will be back on Monday. Life strikes and got pushed to Tuesday, but we'll catch y'all next week.
Setbacks.
I am Rod.
I'm Marcus.
Catch y'all next week. Peace.